Hi everyone, welcome to the TriEssence martial art channel. Now in my previous series of videos, I've had first an overview on the four fundamental forces of the internal. And all of those four forces are pretty much based around the skeletal structure and how we use the physical body into creating forces that are different from what is perceived by conventional means. And then I've also had a follow-up of series of videos on the in-depth look into these four forces, which are for my Patreon-only supporters. So if you're interested in those videos, then please support me on Patreon. Now, today we're going to start with a new mini-series of videos, still looking into what makes internal martial art internal and how everything works in internal martial art. Because as we know, internal martial art has been a very confusing topic for decades, especially in the West. I mean, it is also confusing in the East as well, but more so in the West, because everyone will say all kind of weird things about it. The hipsters, the crazy people, and then the muscle gym brutes. You know, everyone has got their own opinion. And in my channel, at least at the moment, my goal is to expose the real authentic internal, so that should you wish to practice this, you can then have the opportunity and armed with the correct understanding to find a correct school or master or lineage, right? Be able to tell authentic masters or practitioners apart from the fake ones or the misinformed ones. So the new topic we're going to focus on is the metaphysical, right? We've already done the physical, the skeletal force, which is the compression expansion force, rotational, opening and closing of the joints, and relaxed thinking force. Now those are the foundational building block of internal. If you can't have those, you have nothing, okay? But on top of that, there's also another layer of metaphysical concepts. Now these concepts cannot exist on their own. They have to be built on top of the foundational forces, right? That is very important. So keep that in mind, that these things cannot exist if you don't have the skeletal forces to begin with. And out of the metaphysical concepts, today we're going to first look at the concept of E, okay? E has many different translations. Some people call it intent, some people call it focus, and some call it thought. There's no exact, the perfect explanation. But for now, we're going to refer to as intent. But just to know that intent isn't the perfect translation. It's just the one that we're going to use for the time being. Now, when we're talking about E or intent, we're going to be first looking at the style known as Xingyi. Okay, I personally don't do Xingyi. But the reason we're going to look at that is because most people, especially in the West, they heard of E through Xingyi, because E is part of the name of the style of Xing and Yi. Now, as the Xingyi classic script describes, Xingyi is supposed to mean 象形取意. Okay, so 象形 means to simulate the form. 取意 means to attain its either purpose or essence or meaning, okay? This E can have different interpretations. So what this actually means is your body needs to assimilate a certain motion, but at the same time you also need to understand the purpose or the meaning behind that motion you are trying to assimilate. So that in a nutshell is why the style Xingyi is called Xingyi. But now, the moment we start talking about that, we'll have these people that will naturally think about the 12th animal, and they'll be like, yeah, a tiger is ferocious, right? And to emulate a tiger in my head, I need to have my intent to be like a tiger, and like eat my opponent. Like a snake is like fast, so I need to be slippery. Sorry to say, but these ideas are hipster thinking, right? They are completely wrong. They have nothing to do with martial art. If you think like this, I would suggest you to drop it. And if you don't, you're not going to amount to anything ever in terms of training Chinese martial art. Humans are humans. We are not tigers, we are not monkeys, we are not snakes. So no matter how much we want to imitate them, we can't become them, okay? A tiger is fundamentally different built to us, okay? We can't be like tiger, we don't have the same muscle mass, we don't have the same skeletal structure, we can't run on all four. So, for example, right, Xingyi has a tiger pants, like this. I mean, you're not going to learn anything if you look at a tiger all day long and see how a tiger pants. The tiger doesn't pounce like this. They run and they pounce like that. And you can't do that, right? I mean, you can't. So this has very little to do with the actual tiger pound. Same with monkey. I've heard people who say, they will study monkey and see how quick a monkey moves. Well, the sad thing is, no matter how quick a monkey moves, you're not going to be able to move as quick because your muscle fiber are not the same. Your body weight is not the same either. Same with a swallow, right? You can't imitate how light a swallow is, or the fact that swallow can fly because they have hollow bones and they have feathers and they have, very strong muscles. I think they say a pigeon's chest muscle is 100 times stronger than human if you were to, put it in the same ratio. So animals are not like us; they're beyond our reach. Okay. So stop imitating animals; it doesn't help. Stop studying animals; it doesn't help either. Rather, try to understand the meaning behind it. That's the first layer of meaning of E, right? E has different meaning in different styles and in different situations. So the first one we talk about is trying to get to the meaning of something that you are doing, right? That's E, as in Xing Yi. And let's not forget that the 12 animals are actually a later addition to the Xing Yi system, right? Initially, you have San Ti Shi, and you have the 5 elemental hand, and then come the 12 animals. Keep in mind that Li Luoneng, the founder of Xing Yi, does not even know the 12 animal fully. Okay, the 12 animal was learned later on by his disciple like Guo Yinshen, etc., who went to Taihu to learn these things. So Li Luoneng himself don't even know these. So it just shows you that I'm not saying 12 animals are bad or useless, but they are not the core. The core is the 5 elemental first. Okay, and clearly the 5 elemental first does not have animal imitation. So they're not trying to imitate animals. You can see that Xing Yi isn't about imitating animals like everyone thinks. It's actually about something else. So what is it about? Alright, so let's look at Piquan, right? So in the Xing Yi script, it says that this element is metal, and the idea is to split wood with an axe, with a metal axe. So the most simple explanation to that is, okay, Piquan is a downwards force, right? The force goes downwards, and therefore it simulates the idea of splitting wood. However, I would argue that there are a deeper meaning to this, because if you look in some of the Xing Yi lineages, such as the Song style, they actually don't do a downward split, right? For them, P is more like a linear palm strike. I know in the Hebei style, right, there are ones where they go like this, and I've also seen Shang Yunxiang lineage where they will actually literally pick it up and P like this. So everyone has a different understanding to what this P is supposed to be like. Now, I'm not saying what I understand is correct or definitely true, because I don't do Xing Yi. So I have no real authority on this stuff. What I'm about to say is just a means to get you to see the other possibilities to understanding the concept behind P or the E, right? The meaning or the essence of this motion, of this concept of power. Now, the one problem with word, okay, is that it can be interpreted differently by different people. The founder or whoever wrote the Xing Yi script, he said one thing, and he meant when he wrote Piquan is like an axe splitting wood, he means a specific idea in his head. But when 10 people read that same sentence, they might have 10 different ideas. Okay, we don't actually know exactly what the founder intended to mean. That's the problem with using words. But I'm going to suggest to you that one possible meaning, possible, right, emphasize on possible, is that if any of you have ever split wood with an axe, okay, like lumberjack, you will know that you can't use force when you're splitting wood, right? You have to pick up the axe, and you actually drop it like this, and you let the weight split the wood in half. No one does lumberjack like this. No one does that. You don't use excessive force, okay? Because you get tired out really quickly, and also when you tense, the axe part sways and you don't actually split it cleanly. So they actually pick it up and then they just drop it like this. So one of the possible suggestions is that when it actually says Piquan is about axe splitting wood, it actually means that you need to relax and let this natural relaxed thinking force help you with this power, rather than being tense. Right? I've seen people who do Xing Yi where they're thinking, oh, my hand is an axe, I'm going to imagine this is an axe, I'm going to go like a karate chop. And I will argue that's probably wrong. And not just because of my interpretation on the text, but because of my understanding to the 4 core principles of internal martial arts. Okay, so So I'm going to use the same example of to demonstrate P, and keep in mind I don't do Xingyi, so this is just me imitating that mechanic. So if I were to tense up this P, okay, if you tense up a bit, then it will have very little effect. Okay, that's what we've been talking about in the past video. It's nothing new. However, if I use my body mechanic, then I can break his structure with very little amount of force. Right? So just now I wasn't running into him, but just a simple extension of the joint, and also relaxing the arm. Right? If I'm tensing the arm, you see it's pushing back, but it's a lot harder than like this. And like I said, there's only a possible interpretation, but you can see how 象形取义 acquiring the meaning. It means that you have to understand the meaning that this sentence or this description of the splitting wood are actually referring to. So yeah. So on this example, what do you see the differences?
So basically, the way that I feel it is that your I don't know whether does it make sense or not to call it a force travel. So so when Chris was doing a conventional hammer or axe chop, let me just call it this way. It's the forces are it's so, and it's you can feel it on your arm, and yeah, so the force is there. I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt, and during normal combat or when you're fighting somebody, it can be effective. But the problem is the sore spot, or basically the point of injury basically is where I think it would be. So if he hit my hand with a conventional method or generating power, the impact and the injury will be at the impact point. So so when it comes to handling, handling or combat application, it's nothing. There's no element of surprise. He hit you over there, you will feel sore over here. That will be the spot where you feel it, and you can mentally prepare for it, and embrace it or brace the force. It's a lot easier to counter with the impact or the injury, point of injury is where he's hitting. When he does the joint expansion, or should I say the non-conventional way or the internal way of hitting me, the force seems to be not at the location of impact. So yeah, so for me, it's harder for me to accept the force and to neutralize it, because it's not where I think it would be. So that's how I feel. So.
And for those of you who think, what does that have to do with cutting wood? Okay, when you cut wood, you're not trying to hit the top of the log. You're trying to cut through it, so the force needs to travel through. And if you just tense your arm and you think that you're hitting with an axe, the force is just stopping here. It's not actually splitting through, right? Splitting wood means you got to go through. Even though when you're doing it with the proper mechanic, it doesn't split his arms away, but the force actually goes through his body, okay? So if I were to hit him on the chest, rather than the arm, the pen will go through too. And almost like splitting wood, whereas if I do this, it will just hurt right here. So again, like I said, this isn't the answer to it. It's just one of the possible explanations. And this is meant to let you understand that when we say 取义 or acquiring the purpose or essence or meaning, this is what it means. You gotta understand why you want to imitate an axe splitting wood. What quality of an axe splitting wood are you actually trying to get from this motion? Obviously, you are not imitating the exact form, right? If you see people cutting logs, they're like this, they're not doing this. So this isn't imitating that exact motion. It's trying to acquire an essence, some certain essence that can be felt when you are cutting log. The next example is going to be 专拳. Okay, again, this isn't the correct answer. I don't know what the correct answer is. I don't do Xingyi. But just again to let you think. Right, 专拳, they say it's like water. it slips through gaps and holes. So one of the conventional explanation is that when you join, because it's an awkward angle, right, comes out from here, so that it's a, you don't see it coming. Like your firefighter go pop, it'll try to, you go through. That's one of the explanation. And I'm not saying it's wrong, right? That explanation does make sense. But on the other hand, right, we need to also look at if it's water. What is the quality of water? Water's quality is that it floats, right? Things that put on water floats up when water rises. And that sort of correlates with the way this punch happens from the bottom upwards. Another quality of water, like it says in the text, that it goes through holes and gaps, right? It slips through. And the way I would personally interpret that would be that, again, right, we'll take this as an example. If I focus my force just here, then that's not like water, it's more like wood, okay? And he will have full support against this force. But the moment I do an expansion, then it's no longer just here. And that, in a sense, is like water. If I throw water at him, it isn't going to focus over here. It's going to go through him on every possible way. So I will argue in the same way that when you're actually doing 转拳 here, you're not aiming just at this contact point, but at other contact point too. And that's what throws him off balance. And this would almost be like, in my previous video on the Tai Chi expansion force, Peng, right, where you also talked about how, it's actually in the video of expanding the rest of the body, right? Where we talk about the vector force and how it's not talked about what one point, but rather there's a force that is here, there's a force going there, there's a force on my elbow, there's a force on my body. There's more than one force, but he's only resisting from here. And therefore, it's like water slipping through the person. But obviously, this is just my interpretation based on my understanding of other internal martial arts. I don't do Xingyi. I don't know how it is in Xingyi or what is the correct answer. But from these two examples, you're able to see what it means to acquire Yi. Okay, you have to. If you don't understand why you're imitating water, then I'm afraid you can do Xingyi your whole life and not get anywhere. Maybe you punch harder, you can win some fights, but you wouldn't get to the real high-level essence of Xingyi. So that is the first interpretation, or the first way of seeing what Yi is. Okay. Next, we're gonna look at Yiquan, like offspring stuff from Xingyi. Okay, for those of you that don't know, Wang Xiangzhai was a Xingyi practitioner. He then borrowed something from Bagua, some stuff from Tai Chi, and then he also put his own understanding, and he made a new style called Yiquan. And Yiquan is also very important because Yiquan, they took away Xing. Right? Wang Xiangzhai is saying that form or shape is no longer important. He just wants Yi. He just wants the meaning or the intent. A lot of people translate Yiquan into intent first or intent boxing. And yes, it is true. But in Yiquan, Yi has two different things. Okay. In Wang Xiangzhai's classical text, he says that the one that he's talking about is 意念主导, okay, which means you guide your movement with Yi. And then he also talks about 精神假借. 精神假借 is almost like you use visualization to guide or to correct your movement. And these two, they both use your mind, but for different purposes. Okay, so first of all, 意念主导 is like, when you are doing standing, for example, you want the sixth direction of force. So your head you go up, your tailbone to go down, your back need to push back, wrist point forward, the elbow extend sideways, because you need to be like the sixth direction of force. Now, you can't do that with hard force. You can't be like, and then, physically push yourself open like that and then expect to get result. Because in the end, you just be stiff and tense and not get anywhere. So while you're doing the stance, these guidelines of holding your head up, your tailbone down, back chest hollow, back bulge, elbow out, hand forward, these things are done through your intention or the intent. Okay? So that's the first layer, is that you have to 意念主导, you have to guide your motion or your posture training or whatever you do with the correct intention. The intention is that my elbow is trying to go out. My back, my torso and my hand are pushing against each other, it's trying to expand. My head is going up and my tailbone is pushing down. So my spine gets pulled open. So this is the one layer, the one element of E. The other one, on the other hand, is that, for example, when you're doing 伏案式示例, because there are many different visualizations. Okay, I'm just going to take one example. You imagine that you're in water, you have two balls that are floating. So you have to, when you go back, you have to push these balls into a water that's got resistance against you. And then when you go up, now the ball is going to float up by themselves, but you have to control its pace. So you're no longer pushing them down, but you have to control the pace of the balls so that they don't float up away from your hand and don't float up too quickly. And then from here, you then imagine pushing the ball into water again, and how the water have heavy resistance against the ball, and you need your whole body to push the ball in. And then over here, then you imagine the ball floating, and you try to control it not floating up too fast, and also to feel where it is. So this is what Yiquan means by visualization. And what this does is, first of all, it will teach you to not be tense. Okay, because if you're tense and you don't feel where the ball is rising, right? If you can actually do this in real life, you take a ball, put it into a pool. If you're too tense, the ball just slips through the side. You have to sort of relax to feel where the ball is moving all the time, to control it coming out smoothly right under your hand. And when you go down, it will tell you that, okay, there's a resistance in the pool, but you don't want to push it with your hand, you have to drag it in with your body. Your hand doesn't actually move much. You got to use your body weight to drag the ball down. In doing that, you gradually learn the ability to apply your body weight on this motion rather than just your hand. Another layer of visualization will be like, imagine there's a wave that's coming from the front, I need to go against it. And now if I go against it with my arm, it's going to just get rushed back. So I need to have my whole body steady against the massive waves throwing at me, rooted, and then when I do the next motion, I imagine another wave from behind me. So by doing this, it teaches you the forward and back force of the body, and the other visualization that goes on top of it. So each of these visualizations are there to teach you a certain mechanic, a certain habit your body needs to form. If you don't imagine these things, you'll be doing this motion, but you'll be without guidance, right? I mean, how high must my arm go? How low must it go? How far apart are they from the body? You don't actually know. So, how do you coordinate the body and the hand and the arm? You don't actually know. It's very vague. But the moment you imagine there's a massive force coming in and you need your body to resist that force, then naturally, well, not naturally, but gradually, you will teach your body to move in a very specific way that is unified to the rest of the motion. However, do keep in mind that visualization needs to be on top of the four fundamental forces. Okay, you need to first have the expansion of the joints, you need to have compression, expansion, rotation, all of that, and then visualization will help you to elevate these foundational core mechanics. It doesn't help if you just blindly imagine these things. Okay, like if I don't know about the body mechanics with the 6 dimensional force, I don't know about compression, expansion, rotation, all of that, I just imagine this ball, I need to hold the ball down, put the ball up, your motion will still be wrong. Or if I imagine the wave coming forward, back, forward, you will still be wrong. Okay, so these things are not the foundational skills or practice. Which is why there are people out there who does Yiquan for many years, but don't amount to anything, because they are just visualizing in their head. They are not connecting that to the body. Okay, the important thing about, or the dangerous thing about visualization is that although it helps, it has to be grounded in reality. The visualization needs to affect your body. If it's detached from reality and only in your head, it's very dangerous and it's a huge trap, because you might think you're getting somewhere and waste 10 years and in the end get nowhere.